Hello students, in this module I'll be talking about entomophily or insect pollination. So look, listen and learn. Now look behind me, what do you see? Oh wow, that's a beautiful big insect which is sitting on a flower, and look at how it is covered with pollen grains. So this type of pollination where the transfer of pollen grains is achieved through the agency of insect is called as entomophily. Here the word entomon basically means insect, and the word phily you already know means loving or attracting. And obviously the plants that show entomophily are also called as entomophilous plants, right? Now, there are many insects that can participate in entomophily. Few of those insects will include insects like moth. So moth can perform entomophily. They could be insects like butterfly. Okay, then there could be insects like beetle. Even beetle can perform entomophily. There could be fly. Now flies can also perform entomophily. And finally, the most common agent for entomophily is none other than bees. Remember, bees basically are the most common agents that perform entomophily. Not just that, they say that out of a total percentage of plants that show entomophily, almost 75 to 80% are basically pollinated with the help of bees, right? Moving on, let us see what could be some of the floral adaptations for entomophily. Look at that word entomophily, how colorful it is. So obviously the plants have to be colorful and they have to be attractive. As you can see in this picture, the flowers are attractive, they are large, they are very colorful. So the flowers have to be large and attractive, right, to attract these agents for pollination. Now let us see what else should be the adaptation. Now remember, what you see here is a flower of sunflower, right? Now if you look in the center here are many small florets, and they come together to form an inflorescence. So they say in plants like sunflower, when the flowers are very small, they come together as an inflorescence, and the entire inflorescence, which you think is one sunflower, becomes an agent to attract the insect for pollination. Does that make sense? So either the flowers should be very large and attractive, but if they're very small, they should come together and form an inflorescence. And we know in inflorescence is a cluster of flowers, and they all basically look very conspicuous and they attract the agents for pollination. Is that okay? Moving on. There are additional modifications that you may see in plants that will be required to attract these agents or these insects. Let us see some examples here. Now what you see behind me is a beautiful flower which is called as passion flower. Is it okay? Or passiflora. And look at this beautiful ring around here. Now this is called as the corona because it appears as a crown. How attractive is this crown? This is going to attract the insects for pollination. Okay, then there is one more type of flower. You might have known bougainvillea. What you see in the center are the real flowers, and they are very white and they're very small. They don't attract the insects so much as these three very colorful structures which are seen with the flowers, and they are called as bracts. So in bougainvillea, there are these petaloid bracts, which means the bracts that looks attractive and colorful like petals, and they attract the insects for pollination. Is it okay? Moving on. Let us now see about the pollen grains that are there for insect pollination. If you see these pollen grains, they are very rough, or they're very sharp and spiny. So you can say that the pollen grains have spiny or rough exine. And then these pollen grains have to be released on a stigma, and they're supposed to stick on the stigma, and that will be possible only when the stigma is very sticky. You can see the tip of this flower has a very sticky stigma, so that the pollen grains, once they touch the stigma, they attach and then later on perform the process of fertilization. Is it okay? Then moving on, let us see a few examples of insects, or let us see a few examples of plants that perform entomophily. One example right here, as you can see, is a butterfly sitting on the flowers of jasmine. So jasmine shows entomophily. Then how can we forget rose? Look at this beautiful rose, and look at that bee on the rose. So rose also performs entomophily. Okay? Then there's this beautiful flower called as cestrum. Cestrum also shows entomophily. Then we have another plant by the name of salvia. Salvia also shows entomophily. And finally, we have another example which you already learned before, bougainvillea. Bougainvillea will also show entomophily. So in this module, I've talked about insect pollination, also called as entomophily. In the next module, I will specially talk about a case of entomophily in salvia. Till then, thank you and take care.